Hello and welcome to the Original Black Nerd Show, and today we're going to do part 2 of everything you want to know about my man Jace, the next Batman. Don't call me Tim Fox, and we're going to start that right about now.
OBN, OBN, original black nerd. OBN, original black nerd. OBN, original black nerd. Everything discussed about dramas is that thorough. OBN, original black nerd. OBN, original black.
In the first video, I talked about that quirky timeline of figuring out the Jace Fox story, you know, starting the future state and going back to the Second Son, then coming up with I Am Batman, then dealing with Gotham, future state, and all of those quirky natures in that. Today, I'm going to talk about the differences between the characters of Jace Fox and Bruce Wayne, because he is not replacing Bruce Wayne. I'm going to look in the areas of his motivations, their mental and detective skills, their planning skills, you know, fighting skills, endurance in those areas. I'm going to look at the Fox family and how they all play a role in what's been going on in relationship to the stories. And then in addition to that, I'll talk a little bit about his interactions with his friends and his allies and his enemies, as well as his frenemies. So let's talk about that right now. And first, we'll go right off the rip with Bruce Wayne and Jace Fox are not the same. And Jace Fox does not think he's Bruce Wayne because he doesn't even know Bruce Wayne is Batman. He thinks that Bruce Wayne, his father, and all the other people are all part of Batman's family, his crew, and which I find very interesting. But Jace, no one knows who Jace is, also, which also is very interesting. But given the fact that Jace has been gone since he was a teenager, and he hasn't come back to Gotham, so a lot of people don't know who he is and doesn't have any information over here about him. So Bruce Wayne, if you look at the motivation, Bruce of course is motivated by his parents, getting killed, and that propelled him on, while Jace he's motivated from his guilt from the hit and run death he caused that he was doing while he was on his phone and driving, and he actually leaves a man to die. So they have two different motivations, but they do have the same code of no guns and no killing. So that's the similarities of the things that they have in common. Of course, the mental detective skills. Well, he is Batman. So now Jace, on the hand, he's not quite at the Robin levels. He's not like Tim Drake or Dick Grayson or any of those guys. But he is respectable. He does have some good detective skills. Planning, of course. Bruce Wayne is Batman, so no one plans better than Batman. And just from the comic books, we see that Jace is more act now. He's more like the early days of any of the Robin characters. He's not at any level of planning as with regard to exit strategies, alternate plans, things like that. Now, fighting, of course, we know Batman, Bruce Wayne. Batman is one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in DC. And I would say, from looking at what we've seen, is, Jace is, there. He's on par with Nightwing, Red Hood. He mixes it up in a couple issues with them, and he's fighting with them and against them at one point. But he's held his own. Endurance-wise, which is the last category, of course, Bruce Wayne, Batman, has fought against every type of superpower, magic, everything else imaginable he's dealt with. So his body can endure more than anybody else's, given that he has that's his superpower. And now Jace can take physically, he can take a level of a beat down like everybody else. Everybody in the Bat family can take a beat, and he can take one. But I haven't seen, we haven't come across any kind of magic or real psychic attacks So who knows where he'll fall in on that category. So that's a little, that's the differences in Bruce and Jace Fox. But their motivations, while they're different, the end result is they do have a no-kill code, and they do have, help others first code, and they do have we don't use guns code. So those are things that they have. But Ridley is not writing him to be, nowhere near the level of, and he says this constantly, saying that he doesn't know how they do it. But he is getting more and more confident, as we see in different comic books as he goes on. So that's his. That's my comparison of Bruce and Jace Fox. And now we'll move into that Fox family. Now I love how Ridley is playing this family. They are not nice people, okay, and especially the parents, Lucius and Tanya. Lucius has some, of course he got terrorized and by Punchline, which, he gave up the information, and then after, Catwoman did her thing and they flipped the money back, he took over Wayne Enterprise, because Bruce Wayne is now disgraced, as we see in his comic books. He's broke, doing, well, broke as Bruce Wayne could be, and then, at the end of the Wayne fortune, at the end of Joker War, like the War Zone, we see that come into play. Now this guy, we find in Second Son that, we find that Jason's motivation is that he had an accident driving while on his phone. He left the guy to die. The guy dies, but when he went to tell his father did the cover-up. The father and mother did the master cover-up of all this and flew him out the country, and to the military academy, and got him away from everything. So so we find that out in the Second Son story about how Lucius did all of that. I'm not gonna let anything of my son happen, and he took full power of his money, influence, and all that. And he meets up in the Second Son. He meets up in with Simon Saint to hear the Magic's proposal. So we see that this is going on at the same time that the current Batman Detective Comics run is going, where Bruce Wayne is about to be arrested, which of course leads into the whole magistrate taking control and future state and that kind of stuff. The magistrate, starts working with Fox Tech, and has now he has a conflict with everybody in the family, and except really, Tamara, which no one really has a conflict with her, but he has major issues with his son Jace. But he's always had that from as we can see in the storyline, and he now with all of the Wayne money and all of that. Now he was already a millionaire, but now he's a billionaire. He has a vision of Gotham that he sees, which of course this leads into why he connects with the magistrate and backs his play. All right. So the wife, Tanya. Now I love the way he portrays her, because she's the classic mama bear. She takes care of her family and protects them at all costs, and she has a real hatred for masked vigilantes and criminals because of what happened to her daughter Tamara, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and this has made her truly hated. So she actually, in the Future State comic book, she's a lawyer for the mayor and trying to make sure that all the magistrate activities are legal. She also, she's so hardcore that in the next Batman, she sees Batman, who is her son, but she doesn't know it, and goes to try to shoot him, and he had to actually hit his own mama up with a batarang. Wow. So, and then now with the whole, Lucius took care of smearing the kid that he had hit, the man that got hit, and taking the son out of the country and all this, and Tanya goes and negotiates with the family and pays them off. So, but she is a Jace supporter, but Tanya Fox is no joke. Okay. Luke, of course, is Batwing, and he's been a part of the storylines in and out from the beginning of Magistrate. They tried to snatch him up but he was kind of teamed up with Griff at the time and got away. Now we see that he's donned the Batwing suit and gone to work. He's got real anger issues, and he because of, we find that Tamara, who is the moral compass of the family, and she has passed and relapsed and suffering from when she was kidnapped, tortured, like, I guess in the comic book about 7 years ago, because Tiffany was like 7, and Ratcatcher and Batwing issues, I think 24, 27 to the almost the end of the run. Batwing has to deal with Ratcatcher, and Ratcatcher had poisoned Tamara, which the effects are still happening now, and she's actually in a coma now because of the stress of the family and in the relations. But she ain't no joke, because she called out Jace for his little arrogant behavior that he had, and but she is the moral compass of the family, because when Ratcatcher kidnapped and tortured her, Tiffany was like 6.5 at the time, and she witnessed this. And now Tiffany, the youngest, is 13 now, and now she is like Robin, not Robin, in one of the issues, one of the little storylines, because we see as second son that she starts to armor up and starts to get ready. We know that she's extremely smart and resourceful, because when she was a 6-7-year-old, she got away when her sister was kidnapped, and she got away, and we find that out in the Batwing stories also. Now, she is the only person, as far as I can tell, that actually knows that Jace Fox is the next Batman. Everybody else breaks it down and doesn't know who he is, and which is I find fascinating that Oracle can't figure it out, Grayson can't figure it out, Bruce Wayne, I know he got a lot on his mind, but he ain't figured it out, because he's got a little another story going on with him, as we saw in how he in Future State Gotham is telling Jason Todd that Jace Fox is responsible for this bombing that we find out that the warmonger is responsible for. So I'm not sure where Batman is on this, but we do know that he comes across Jace Fox in the Dark Detective Future State, which happens in 2027, so we know Jace is still around. But Tiffany, back to Tiffany, she calls out everybody in the family, and she puts it in a great perspective, and she breaks it down like this. In a little side story that they had called The Cavalry, when she's Robin, not Robin, and Jace talks about it's a bad idea. You and me doing this bad thing, if something were to happen to both of us, Mom and Dad would, and she hits him back with, and this is the best description of it all. She says, look, our family, we just caught up in bad nonsense. Dad was making weapons for him, Mom was writing laws against him, Luke wanted to be him, and Tamara well, you know the deal with Tamara. But this is Jace. We don't control our destinies. All we can do is live up to them. Yeah. So that's kind of a good breakdown of how the Fox family is all twisted up in their own dilemmas and dealing with the Bat world. Everybody got a piece, and now Lucius is with the magistrate, and Tanya is supporting the mayor, and Luke is out at Batwing doing his thing, but he can't stand his brother, but he doesn't know that his brother is in fact the next Batman. Tamara is the more compass, and she is now, through the stress of the family tension with all of the infighting, she has relapsed from the rat catcher's poison, and Tiffany has gone becoming to the next level of being a Robin-like person. So this is what the Fox family has been portrayed by Ridley, and I think I really enjoy it. I know I really enjoy it because it gives a whole different dimension and look to how the Foxes interact with each other, as well as they're not Morgan Freeman. They're not the kindly, they have their own little dark demons within each and every one of them, and he brought them out in The Second Son, and I thought that was a really good factor involved. That we've only seen a few people that Jace has come across. Now Tyler Arcadine that we found in the original Second Son. That was the first person he was tracking down when he was in Vietnam. Now, what's a side note to that? In the fact that if he was in Vietnam doing all this stuff, and we got to find out how his background too is. But I'm interested to know that we know that he's connected with Katana, but is he any way connected or was known about by Ghostmaker? Because that was Ghostmaker's part of the world that he was controlling, so I don't know. So and we know that Tyler is connected to Simon Saint, but we don't know how yet. He's also had to deal with one of the peacekeepers who was tasked with trying to capture him in the Future State Next Batman. That was his nemesis, the whole part of that 4-issue run. Jace had to, on the beat down on him, it came extra because he had to hit his mother with the batarang because he was being chased by the peacekeeper. He had the accident. His mother tried to shoot him. He had to hit him with the batarang, so he blamed the peacekeeper, and he was beating him so bad that the woman that he was going to have arrested had to pull him off. So yeah, he's got a temper issue also. Now the latest person we see in Future State Gotham with him and Jason Hood, aka Peacekeeper Red, and Astrid Arkham when they escaped from Blackgate. Jace, Red Hood, and they got smacked down by the Warmonger, but we'll know how that's going to keep figure out as we see more and more in Future State Gotham as it comes out. He's hooked up, like I said. He's been in an issue in Future State with Nightwing, and he fought like Peacekeeper, I think 03, and they had to put the smackdown on her, and him and Nightwing were cool. So Nightwing is definitely not convinced that Jason's a bad guy. Jason Todd, he come across him and he battles with him. Now with Nightwing, he battled the magistrate and people, as well as Peacekeeper 3 and Future State Gotham. He's with Jason Todd. He fights against all the Blackgate inmates that were released. They had to do some work up in there, and then we see that he also was told by Batman that Jace was responsible for the attack, but we find out that Jace wasn't. Jace also has a Detective Chubb, who we find in Future State Batman, but Second Son really let us know where she comes from and how she got her rank kind of by she was just happening to be, you know, the next person up, her and a partner. But she is not one that jokes around, because even though she doesn't really want to help Jace, she does kind of work with him, but to cover herself, she asked him, was he wearing body armor, and shot him. So if Renee Montoya, who's the commissioner, asked, she did shoot him when she saw him. You know, then he's just come across Astrid Arkham and Future State Gotham, which is a tie-in with Warmonger, but we don't know what that's all about yet. And now his friends and his connection and support people that we find in Second Son is that his boy is Val. Now, we come across him in the next Batman, then we really find the story, a little bit more story about he met him at the military school in Second Son. But this guy is his tech guy, and he's like Oracle, and Oracle don't even know he's doing what he's doing, and they tapping into all types of stuff. And so he's a really, really good tech savvy guy, but he doesn't have access to the type of equipment and technology that, of course, Oracle or Batman or Ghostmaker, any of those people. But he is a very, very good tech savvy guy. He's actually one of the guys that helped Jace find the micro bat cave in the basement of Wayne, now Fox Tech Enterprises. And then he has a moral compass he kind of met that gave him some little story. And Hadia, we find a little bit about her in Second Son, but we don't know how far that's going to go. And of course, we find in Second Son that she had been trained by Katana. And I don't know if that's going to be turned out later to be something that connects in, because I know Katana and is going to do something with Black Lightning and I think Metamorpho to reinstitute the Outsiders. They're going to bring Duke Thomas in with the Signal, who's now, according to the last Signal book, is back out during the daytime, but he's beefing with some of the We Are Robin people. So that's another storyline altogether. So that is all of what's going on in my man Jace Fox world. Now, this was a extended video about this, because this is everything about him, his family, his differences, and it's all prepares us for the I Am Batman next storyline, which I'm very excited to see, because I am enjoying this all. And as you can see, I'm a Bat Family person, so I read all the different Bat Family books. So I enjoyed this run. So if you stayed this long, make sure you like, you comment, you share it, and do all that good stuff. And be prepared for the I Am Batman run when it comes out, and enjoy. And I'm out of here. Peace.